In this WrestleTalk news, does AEW have budget issues? Cody Rhodes rumored to be heading to Saudi Arabia for Elimination Chamber, my review of SmackDown, Tempest review of AEW Rampage, and more. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news, because we haven't taped this episode in advance because we're going overseas like WWE did with SmackDown this week. We're live, pal. Well, we're not live, pal, it's edited. You see, what happens is I record this in my kid's nursery and then I send it across to an editor.
Support WrestleTalk!
Brock Lesnar won the WWE Championship in a match he wasn't supposed to be part of. Impact Knockouts champion Mickie James appeared in the Royal Rumble. Ronda Rousey returned to WWE and will headline WrestleMania. Shane McMahon got fired by his own father for being a total knob backstage. And just this past week, Cody Rhodes, one of the founders of All Elite Wrestling, has left All Elite Wrestling. It is only the middle of February and the 2022 wrestling world has already lost its mind. The Cody news is perhaps the most shocking of all, and there have been plenty of rumors, innuendos, and speculations over the cause of his departure. Some say that Cody was unhappy with his spot in AEW, that he was becoming a backstage liability, and that he and Tony Khan clashed over creative directions. And there are, of course, those who believe this is one big giant Brian Pillman-like worky work shoot work. One of the other reported reasons Cody opted not to stay with AEW is over money. Some have even said that Rhodes was after a CM Punk level contract because he felt that's what he was worth. It should be noted that Punk is the highest paid AEW wrestler along with Chris Jericho. And according to Dave Meltzer in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, there are those in WWE who believe AEW has a budget issue, which is why Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn re-signed with WWE because Tony Khan was not going to match WWE's high offers. Meltzer notes that legally AEW couldn't approach Owens or Zayn while they were under contract, but they also didn't make a play for either because WWE had offered such a high amount. And although Khan has signed the likes of Keith Lee, AQA, Nick Wayne, and Danhausen in the last month, with rumors of Shane Strickland, Jeff Hardy, and Buddy Matthews also joining the AEW ranks at some point in the future, Meltzer writes that AEW will never match WWE's offers unless or until they get a new and higher paying television deal, and that won't be until the start of 2024. Part of the Cody Rhodes reporting frenzy these past few days is that WWE were waving their flag in victory over the news, even though, just remember, they don't see them as competition, wink wink. So could WWE make a play for other top AEW names? Most likely not, as the Young Bucks signed a new deal last year and it's believed Hangman Adam Page has done the same thing. Chris Jericho has reportedly signed an extension on his deal, which will see him with the company until 2024, but according to Dave Meltzer, Kenny Omega only has 1 year left on his 4-year deal that he signed when the company launched. The belief is that Cody Rhodes is heading back to WWE, and because he's a free agent, he can appear on any of their programming at any point. And one Reddit user has shared a photo of him posing with the American Nightmare at an airport in Poland, which has sparked rumors that Rhodes could re-debut for WWE as early as today's Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia. It is worth noting though that this is the only photo shared of Rhodes at an airport, so do take it with a pinch of salt. In fact, Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated said last week that Cody could be heading to the WWE Performance Center to film segments and vignettes this weekend, which would rule him out of a chamber appearance. Ollie Davis and Andy Datsun will be doing live reactions to the Elimination Chamber over on the WrestleTalk podcast channel, so head on over there and give it a subscribe. But for now, it's time for my review of WWE SmackDown in about 5 minutes. Are you ready for a taped show? Because WWE are currently in Saudi Arabia for the Elimination Chamber, so everything that was on this episode was recorded after last week's SmackDown. And boy howdy did this sure feel like a taped show. In this 2-hour wrestling program, there were only 3 wrestling matches. That's one less than Rampage, with 1 more hour of broadcasting. Rampage even had a women's match, and I think it says a lot when AEW is putting on more women's matches than you are, even if it was only 2 minutes long. But because these are taped matches and WWE needs to fill time, the matches went long for the most part. There was actually over half an hour of actual in-ring wrestling, which I think is longer than most usual weeks of SmackDown. The show kicked off, however, with the contract signing between Charlotte Flair, Sonya Deville, Naomi, and Ronda Rousey. It was a segment that lasted nearly 10 minutes, but only had 2 minutes of actual content in it. Sonya put in a stipulation that Rousey would have to wrestle with one hand tied behind her back, and the babyfaces stood tall after Ronda smacked Flair's head into the table. A video of this segment did the rounds on Twitter last week, with Chandran the Man saying they would need to bring in Steven Spielberg to fix it before it aired. Well, clearly they picked up the phone to old Steve-O Spielberg, because it was actually quite seamless in the final product. Sheamus and Ricochet then had a solid match that became a pretty good match by the end, with Rick winning with the recall after some botched Ridge Holland interference. Sheamus shoved down his protege after the match. Look at the size of that ham hock! The Undertaker is going into the Hall of Fame, and look at the size of that long video package to announce this. Set to both Metallica's Sad But True and Kid Rock's American Badass, which used Sad But True as its backing track. The more you know. This was really awesome. Jey Uso and Ivar had a short match that ended in a DQ. I have no idea if anyone actually cares about this match today at the Elimination Chamber, but I imagine the answer is 0. And Drew McIntyre came out for a promo where he asked WWE fans to come up with ways for him to beat Madcap Moss at the Elimination Chamber using the hashtag MadcapMauling. Let's have a quick check to see what fans suggested. He could throw him off the highest platform you can find, then run him over with a camel and gladly cut him with Angela. Or perhaps get thumbtacks, put it on a table and slam him through it! Maybe even shove that sword up his ass, then dry hump him into submission. Well, like Riddle at Crown Jewel, it's a camel joke. Or he could hit him with a baseball bat covered with barbed wire. Or perhaps, most viciously of all, make him watch an episode of Monday Night Raw. Hey, Raw's been good as of late. Big E is gonna do a brum brum, and then Sami Zayn won the Intercontinental Championship from Shinsuke Nakamura, who may have just had the worst Intercontinental Championship title run in the history of the belt. Nakamura won the title in August last year, back when he was King Nakamura, and has then not appeared on pay-per-view to defend the title. He was on the pre-show for Survivor Series, but that's more just a contractual obligation because he was a champion and he had to be there. In fact, he's only defended the title on TV once, and that was in September last year against Apollo Crews. While some of you may argue that he couldn't defend the title because he was injured, this is a scripted sport, and they could have put the belt on someone who wasn't injured. With that said, this is probably Nakamura's best match on WWE's main roster since, well, ever. Certainly since the AJ Styles matches when he first came up, it was pretty back and forth, with Zayn targeting Nakamura's knee after he missed a Kinshasa into the stairs. Zayn didn't even hit his finish, instead smacking Nakamura's knee Kimura into the ring post and getting a deep small package for the win. I really enjoyed the finish, and it was a good match. Nowhere near as good as their NXT encounter, but still better than most weeks on SmackDown. Ricochet and Aaliyah had a backstage segment, at least it wasn't Aaliyah wrestling Natalya again. And then we got the Roman Reigns and Goldberg face to face. Heyman got some local town sports team heat, and Goldberg came out to say he'll win the title. This was about, 3 to 4 minutes of actual content. Problem is that following the Nakamura and Zayn match, there was 25 minutes of this show left, so we got a lengthy Black History Month video package and a long-ass recap of Raw's Elimination Chamber storyline to fill the time. And that's sort of the problem with WWE's taped shows. There is always so much filler. There was nothing on this show that you have to go out of your way to see, and outside of Zayn winning the belt, nothing happened. A totally missable and pointless episode of SmackDown, but it was somehow better than the last few weeks. So I guess it's 3 out of 5? And now let's head on over to Tempo T Yu-Gi-Oh! For his review of AEW Rampage.
God, please let this show run at 7 p.m. every week. What's going on, WrestleTalk friends and fans? Tempest is back with a review of 7 p.m. AEW Rampage in about 3 minutes. So this show started as it often does with Adam Cole this week taking on Ten. Ten's mask and physique really reminds me of Bane from Batman and Robin. I'm not quite sure that's a good thing, but it's an interesting look for a wrestler. You know what? I bet Luke Owen loves this movie or something. But regardless, Adam Cole and 10 had a really fun opening match. It was a lot different from Adam Cole's usual matches in AEW, with 10 just being a much bigger opponent than he's used to. It appears 10 might be getting some form of a push in the Dark Order these days, so he was able to get the full Nelson on Adam Cole several times before Adam Cole hit a low blow and the boom for the win. They keep chanting along with the boom and I love it. I don't think this match was quite as good as some of the other matches Adam Cole has had on Rampage, so this is going to get a 3 out of 5, but still a fun way to open up the show. And then we got the Face of the Revolution ladder match qualifier as Powerhouse Hobbs took on Dante Martin. That's right, this was the continuation of the Team Taz Dante Martin storyline, a storyline that I really don't know where they're going with at this point. It seems very directionless, but Powerhouse Hobbs was able to pick up the win, advancing to Revolution in a very good match. Dante Martin continues to be as acrobatic and impressive as ever, while Powerhouse Hobbs was able to put him away with a big spine buster. Big beefy boys, let's go! This is shaping up to be the beefiest ladder match in history, and with a few spots left, I can't wait to see who they're going to fill this with. This was a fun match. This gets a 4 out of 5. We then got Serena Deeb's 5-minute challenge, as her challenge was this week accepted by Angelica Risk. There's not a whole lot to these matches. They are basically just quick squashes. I'm sure this will lead to something down the line for Serena Deeb, and I'll be very much looking forward to that, as Serena Deeb is just awesome. That being said, there wasn't too much to this match, and she won in about a minute. This gets a 2 out of 5, but still, it accomplished its goals. We also got a ton of confirmations for AEW Revolution, as CM Punk will take on MJF in a dog collar match. Britt Baker will defend the AEW World Women's Championship against Thunder Rosa, and Adam Page will defend the AEW World Championship against Adam Cole. Man, I really hope Adam wins. This is shaping up to be another excellent pay-per-view card, and I can't wait to see what else is going to be announced for it. And then we got the main event of this show as Jay White took on Trent Beretta. For those of you who are not aware, Jay White is indeed fucking awesome. This is a guy whose movements in the ring are incredibly smooth, especially for a guy of his experience level, having only wrestled for 9 years, but you best believe that he's one of the best in the world. A lot of his heel maneuvers are a lot more psychological than some of the other people that we usually see on American TV, trying to win by countout and being angry at the ref for not counting Trent Beretta. This was a really good match too, with Trent Beretta getting a ton of offense and a few really close near falls, and the crowd was eventually chanting "This is awesome" before Jay White hit an excellent counter to hit the Blade Runner for the win. I was a little bit worried what the reaction would be for Jay White, as his arrival in AEW has kind of been overshadowed by a few really big news pieces in recent weeks, but this was an excellent first match for him. This gets a 4 out of 5 and a very fun main event for Rampage. That being said, this did feel like one of the less important episodes of Rampage in recent weeks, with only Jay White's debut and a qualifier match to really hook the audience. I'm probably going to give this a high 3 out of 5 show, but it was still fun, and you should go out of your way to see Jay White's debut. And that just about wraps it up for me. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on this week's show, make sure you go over to WrestleTalk Podcast later on today, where myself and Luke Owen will be going over both shows in complete detail. It's good that it's Luke this week, because I've got some words for our tribal Pete.
Another week in wrestling just absolutely gobbled up by one specific news story, this time the shocking departure of Cody Rhodes from AEW. The revolution he started and televised and seemingly grew bored of when it wasn't about him anymore. Both Cody and his wife Brandy Rhodes have decided to leave the company they had a hand in starting, with a possible defection to WWE on the cards for Cody.